Hi, and welcome to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm making a super simple coconut poke cake. I've been making this coconut poke cake recipe for at least 15 years now. It comes from the mother of one of my high school friends. It is so easy to make and really delicious. So it's kind of inspired by a Tres Leches cake, which is a white or a yellow sponge cake, and then you soak it with 3 different kinds of milks. Now with this recipe, we're gonna make a boxed white cake. You could also do a boxed butter yellow cake, and then we're gonna soak it with 2 milks, sweetened condensed milk and coconut milk. And then to make it extra simple, we're gonna top it with Cool Whip and shredded coconut. So the first step is to make the cake. Today I'm using an extra moist white cake. So this recipe calls for 3 egg whites, 3/4 of a cup of water plus an additional 2 tablespoons of water, and then 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. So just follow the directions on the back of your package, bake it accordingly, and then we'll go from there. So first to my mix, I'll add 3 egg whites. That'll make it nice and fluffy. Then I have 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of water, my 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, and then I'm just gonna grab my electric hand mixer here and beat it together for a couple of minutes. My cake batter is all ready to go, and I've prepared a 9 by 13 inch glass baking dish. So again, just following the package directions. This I buttered and then floured lightly so that nothing would stick. And I'm going to pour my batter into my pan and then bake it at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. While my white cake bakes, I'm just gonna mix together my 2 milks. So I have sweetened condensed milk, and the recipe calls for about 8 ounces, so I'm gonna use maybe 3/4 of this container, which is fine because I will nibble at the leftovers. It is so incredible. So in that goes, super sweet and thick and gooey. It's gonna soak into our cake, make it really moist and rich. Okay, so there's 3/4 of that container, and then same amount of coconut milk, about 8 ounces. So I just wanted to show you before I opened it, you really need to shake your can of coconut milk because the cream and then like the watery portion of the mixture separate when they're in the can. So you want to shake it really well. And when you open it, and if it's still not quite totally incorporated, you can stir it up a little bit too. But it should be nice and thick when you open it up. And this is just unsweetened coconut milk. I was gonna say I didn't buy the light version, but of course you could if you wanted to. I'll just open this real quick. Let's see, oh yeah, this is super thick. Okay, and then we're just gonna pour in about 3/4 of this can. Nice. Smells very tropical. And I'm gonna grab a little whisk and then we'll stir these together. My cake has finished baking in the oven, so while it's still nice and warm, I'm gonna poke holes all over the surface and then pour our 2 milks over the top. Now for a traditional poke cake, you might use the end of a wooden spoon, which would be pretty large, like maybe the size of a dime, to make really large holes. But for this particular cake, I really like using either a fork, which is what I'm gonna use today, or like a little bamboo skewer or a toothpick, so you get tiny little holes all over the top. That way the whole cake is just gonna soak up that sweet liquid. Once I pour all the milk over the top of the cake, I'm gonna allow it to sit out at room temperature just for a little bit so that the cake cools off before I pop it into the fridge for several hours. This would be perfect to make the night before so that you have lots of time for the cake to absorb the milks. But it's earlier in the day today, so this will get like a good 6 hours or so in the fridge before we have it for dessert tonight. My coconut poke cake was in the refrigerator for several hours, so now it's time to frost it. Now, today I'm just gonna use an 8-ounce container of whipped topping. It makes it so easy and quick. You could also make homemade whipped cream yourself. You could just take some heavy whipping cream and mix it together with a little bit of vanilla extract and maybe a couple tablespoons of powdered sugar to sweeten it up. But I would only add homemade whipped cream on top if you're gonna eat the whole cake that night, because it's not as stable as Cool Whip. So as it sits for a day or two in the fridge, if you have any left over, it's gonna kind of re-liquefy. It's just not a great consistency. It tastes amazing, but Cool Whip is a better way to go if you think you're gonna have some leftovers. So I'm just gonna spread the whipped topping all over the surface and then sprinkle it with some sweetened coconut flakes. I cut myself a big slice and now I get to give it a taste. Ooh, this is the perfect warm weather dessert. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram at Anne's Family Recipe. Thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon with another family recipe.
For the full recipe, check the description box below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.